Hello, friends. Look who's home after his first week dealing Texas Hold'em poker as a professional bloody croupier. Oh, what a week it's been. What a week it's been.
It's been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster.
There's been highlights and lowlights. There's been tears.
I wasn't planning on getting emotional in this video, but it's been an emotional day.
There's been long days. There's been challenges. There's been lessons. There's been mistakes. Mistakes were made, but I learned from them. And that is growth. That's improvement. And to be good at something, you have to be willing to suck at it first, you know? You have to be willing to go through the discomfort to get good. Oh, there's been growth. I've kept going and I've kept growing, and I've got a lot to share. One of the lowlights, which again is quite funny in hindsight, but at the time this was, this hurt so much. One of the players complained about me to the floor staff and said, look, this guy's not shuffling the cards properly. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you're clumsy, you're not doing it properly. And I was like, oh my God. And my imposter syndrome was just like turned up to 11. I was like, oh, I already thought I was shit at this. And now you've literally just did my worst nightmare. Like, you're not bloody shuffling those properly. He was French. He didn't sound like that. He's like, excuse me, sir, but...
Your shuffling is not good. As a player, it's terrible. You need to practice more. And I was like, oh,
fuck. I was like, I probably do. You're probably bloody bang on, mate, you know? Like...
awful feeling of just like, utter cringe. I was like, oh no, I'm shit.
He bust out the very next hand.
He has ace queen. The other guy calls with pocket tens, and I'm praying that this guy doesn't hit.
See ya. And then when he left, the other guys were like, oh, what a dickhead. What karma, you know, karma. And they're like, there's nothing wrong with your shuffling, mate. You're fine. He's just being a knob. And I was like, okay. But secretly I was like, nah, he's not the knob. You're the one who haven't been watching me properly, you know? Like, I've been clumsy. He's the only one that noticed.
He probably seen loads of, shit hot, fluid, smooth dealers in his time. And he's probably like, yeah, you're not one of them, mate. You need to get better. And I said, I'm really sorry. This is my first tournament. I was just doing the training last week. He was like, yeah, it's obvious. And I was like, oh, ouch, ouch. Oh, mate, that was savage.
That was a really odd experience that really left me a bit shaken. I don't know why I made such a big deal out of it. I made some really nice friends there. Some of them offered me some really nice advice, just saying, hey, listen, mate, we're not saving lives here. We're dealing cards. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just poker, Phil.
It's poker, Phil. What do you think this is?
It's essentially we're just playing a game, you know? Don't worry about it. And I was like, oh, you know what? You're right. But poker is a game where the players can be quite intimidating. And there was another experience which, it pains me to think about.
Oh, man, I had another bit of a stressful night.
Again, I gave myself way too much of a hard time about this, but...
Oh, that was rough, man. I was just like, what are you doing, you idiot?
This one guy, he was meant to go all in, but he wasn't paying attention to the game because he was on his phone. When he put the chips across the line, he's obliged to call this guy's all in. But this other guy who was in the hand said, oh, don't worry about it. You can just leave that in the pot and fold. And it was a sprint game, so it was very fast-paced, not like the tournament play. It was like, I was just really overwhelmed and quite intimidated. It was all in French, and I was just like, what just went on? I'm pretty sure this guy needs to put all his chips in the pot.
Mistake. His mistake. He didn't see that this guy go all in because he was looking at his phone. The phones are forbidden at the table. You try to say, like, listen, no phones at the table, but they look at their phones anyway. I should have called the floor. I should have definitely called the floor. I should have been like, floor. This guy went all in. This guy called. His chips were over the line. He wasn't paying attention. His mistake. But I let it go. The other guy called the all in. There was a showdown. It was fine. There wasn't really a problem. But after that, another player at the table was like, that was a mistake. This guy should have been all in. Yeah, you're right. Like, I know that, it's all in French as well. You got to remember, it's all in a language that I can understand, but everyone's talking at the same time. Look, I'll just be honest. I can't understand it. I can't understand French as well as I like to. They're all speaking really fast. I can't really keep up with it.
I knew that. Why didn't I felt intimidated to like assert my authority? I thought, these guys have been playing poker for years, they know that I don't know what I'm doing. But you know what, man? I will never let that happen again. Like, I learned from my mistakes, and I was journaling. I've been journaling loads, man. And I was like, you know what? Every mistake I make is a lesson that I'm never, you know, it's a lesson learned, and it's a mistake I won't make again. Like, that guy tried his luck, got away with it. You know what? He caught me off guard. You know, he caught a new croupier off guard, and he took the piss. But you know what? He's not going to catch me again. And my mate Leo, he told me, he's like, oh, listen, man, every croupier in here has got a story like that. Don't worry about it. He was really nice guy, took me under his wing and sort of just gave me lots of advice. I really appreciated it. Fellow Englishman. He also really helped when, I think I said in the last video, like, when all the lads are going out and, you know, sending it, I feel like, am I missing out? Am I squeezing all the juice out of this experience? You know, is the old man going to bed early? You know, is that wasting my time? You know, I'm in Aix-les-Bains for the week. You know, why should I be seeing the inside of nightclubs or the inside of my hotel room? And he just said to me, hey, listen, man, some of us like to chat shit on the balcony, you know, and some of us like to shout in each other's ears, you know, in a nightclub, you know, after 5 or 6 beers. He's like, you know, I don't drink either. And I was like, no way, you don't drink? I was like, oh, sweet. And he's like, I was like, ooh, yeah, you know? So I was like, oh, sick, man, yeah. I was like, I think, you know, you and I are cut from the same cloth. That was really nice. And I was just like, oh, you know what? I actually feel loads better about myself. Like, maybe, you know, just because, like, a load of 20-year-old lads that were on the training are all going out being, you know, in their 20s doesn't make it any less of an experience for me. You know, the guy who's 43 just wants to bloody go lay down after a 13-hour shift, might I add. Mate, I was really happy with the way my body responded. One thing I'm also really grateful for is that my body has been handling the long hours way better than I anticipated. That was another thing I was kind of worried about. I was like, oh, what if I get like spazzy legs or like I'm really uncomfortable? And so far so good, you know. I've been, weirdly enough, I don't feel like my body is aching. I don't want to like crash out into bed. I haven't even taken any paracetamol. You know, I maybe had an extra baclofen here and there just because I thought, you know, just anticipating that, oh, it's a bit long. So, you know, obviously there's a level of discomfort, but it's way more manageable than I had anticipated. I was like, oh, you know what, if, you know, I'm really uncomfortable and, you know, can I go home? I'm uncomfortable. I need to lay down. That was a genuine worry, but guess what? I'm handling it. And that's something I'm super grateful for. There was one point where they said, do you want to go home? And I was like, or do you want to sign out, shall I say? And they said, I said, no, I'm having a great time. You know, I was dealing some amazing flops, witnessing some really bad beats, trying to keep a straight face. And I was just like, pocket queens versus 5-6. I've dealt like 7, 8, 9. Oops, sorry, lady. But then when it come to like 12:30 at night, and I started at 11:30, I was like, oh man, I was like, well, I want to sign out now. And they're like, oh, you might be able to sign out in an hour. I was like, oh, what, really? And they're like, no, you can go. I was like, oh, thank goodness. Then I was like,
Oh man, I'm pooped.
Pooped, man. Absolutely pooped. I was so grateful for the room as well. Like the room, just having my own space. I was really worried about sharing with Malcolm. Malcolm's sound. Malcolm is such a cool guy.
Qu'est-ce que tu penses?
C'était incroyable avec Fred.
Cool.
Merci beaucoup, Fred.
Malcolm, by the way, was sound. He saved me the big bedroom. Legend. Also, I've got my own room. It's a twin room, and there's like a sofa bed thing, but he took the sofa bed. And I said, oh, he's like, yeah, I saved you the big bedroom. I was like, oh, that's really kind of you. Oh, c'est normal. You know, you're in the wheelchair. And I was like, oh, that's really kind of you, Malcolm. I appreciate that.
He's quite an adorable fella. He was coming home at like almost 6 o'clock in the morning. I can't believe these guys were all like sending it, you know, like dealing cards, sending it. I was like, mate, to be 20 again. Malcolm came home at 20 to 5 this morning. So he will be rather tired today. So here's a little tour of the room. There's Malcolm's bed, a little sofa bed. There's a balcony out there, which I haven't actually been out on. Actually haven't ventured past this point, if I'm honest. There, they got like a little sink, microwave, fridge, which is nice. There's a lot of Malcolm's stuff here. There's his suitcase and that. So yeah, this is the bathroom. As you can see, it's a pretty big old bathroom. I put a chair in the shower because that's the only way I could shower. And then coming through into my room, which is pretty fucking ginormous, if I'm honest. Very, very nice. Big room, big bed. Yeah, a little desk over there where all my stuff is. Pretty good digs, eh? I'm pretty happy with it. And I just realised that this little town is bustling with people. These hotels are fully booked. You know, they're bustling with croupiers, with players. The whole casino is packed. Like last week, the casino was very, very, very quiet.
And it just made me feel part of an industry that is bringing so much money to this little town, you know? It's all flowing, there's, you know, lots of employment, lots of staff, lots of players, good for the restaurants, it's good for the whole, like, little economy here. And it's quite cool. I'm actually really proud to be a part of it. I know I had reservations at first being part of the gaming industry because of the, I guess, the sort of predatory practices I saw at the casino on the first night. But being part of a poker tournament is a different flavor completely. Like, these people are here, they're playing against each other, the casino doesn't have an edge, and it just brings a lot of people together. And it's cool, I like it. I've been a little bit paranoid about needing a wee. There was a break for the players. I didn't know if we were allowed to have a break. And I just said, oh, I need a wee, can I go for a wee? They're like, yeah, but be quick, because the break ends in 5 minutes. Whipped to the toilet, the disabled toilet, was empty. Whipped in there, did a wee, sweet. Came straight back out to the table. I made it in time. I still feel like a beginner. You know, I felt like, oh, everyone knows that I'm, you know, a charlatan, you know. I'm just, you know, everyone else has here been doing it years, and I'm just a bloody pretender, you know. Look at this guy, you know, they could just smell it on me, you know. Or, you know, like, hey, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. You don't know what you're doing, but, because essentially I do know what I'm doing, but just not as well as the others. And I said to a few people, like, oh, it's my first day, because I just blurted it out, like, as if to almost, like, excuse myself. Oh, excuse me, obviously I'm doing a terrible job, it's my first day. Asked some guy to get off his phone 3 times, didn't get off his phone, and I was like, look, man, called the floor over. I was like, look, I've asked him to get off his phone 3 times, you can't be on your phone during the game. We were told to be really strict on that rule. I tried to enforce it. He was not very happy, but then someone else came over and I went to a different table, so cool. At one point I was just in the zone, you know, like shuffling, dealing. I was just like, yeah, man, I'm like, I've got it. I know what I'm doing. The players are friendly, you know. It's quite fun, like watching the hands as well sometimes. Like once you're just get over the fact that, you know, it's just cards, you know, you're just dealing cards. Some people had like funny t-shirts, you know, saying like, I don't need sex, you know, the river fucks me every time. And I thought that was funny. A really good experience, really good. I'm really starting to relax into it and enjoy it a little bit more. I was dealing some flops. I was like, you know, well done. You know, ace, king, queen. I was like, oh. Turn comes, jack. I was like, oh, mate, hello, ladies. And it was so good. It was really exciting to watch. I was like, oh, this is really good. You know, I wonder what this guy's going to do. It was really interesting. I'd started to really like relax and enjoy the game. I was like, you know, pleasure, gents. See you later. Best of luck. Go to the next table. It was really fun. Well, that was easily some of the best poker I've dealt so far. A couple of very, very small errors. Basically no mistakes. Really well. Felt like pretty good. I enjoy it. Like I say, part of a team. Tick. Got a skill set. Well, you know, it is a skill set. I got a really nice compliment from another croupier today. And it's what I've been desiring in my life. So a little bit of excitement, a little bit of a buzz, you know, a little bit of a woohoo, you know, like, and made it to the end of the day without weeing myself. There was a moment where I got to go on a break just when I needed a wee, and I was like, score, you know? No urination today, my friend. Yeah, it's quite cool, actually. Better than yesterday, you know, we're on the up. Also, one of the main things I like about this is that everyone is so friendly. I just love it. There's never, I mean, sometimes there's a bit of drama, but on the whole, everyone's super friendly. To me, at least. I love it. Oh, I tell you what, there was a really funny bit today where one of the floor guys come over and he was like, because I had my name tag on, he was like, Fred? He was like, what's up with the chair? And I was like, what do you mean? The dealers have 2 chairs stacked on top of one another, so they're like up above, they're quite high on the table so they can reach above. But when I come to the table, they move the chairs out to the side, basically saying, why aren't you sitting on the chair? Like, what's with the chair? He's like, I've never seen this before. But he couldn't see the wheelchair. And then I was like, what do you mean? And as he looked over and he saw the wheelchair, he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. He was so embarrassed, bless him. I was like, no, mate, it's absolutely fine. You know, there's no need to apologize. It was just an obvious, I would imagine you would be like, why is he not sitting on the chair? You know, I've never seen that before. Why are you? But, you know, I've got my own chair. It's a wheelchair. So that was funny, though. It was kind of funny. All the players were like, oh, you know, poor guy. He was very embarrassed. Woo. Hell yeah. I just came back from a banging little workout. Start work in about half an hour. But I went to the park, wheeled up the hill, like down the hill, got in the park, got my stretchy bands, got my music on, did some like, you know, some
just had a banging little workout, you know, touch my toes up and down, giving it the old, you know, got a good sweat on, got a good push. I feel amazing. I feel incredible. I love a workout. It just makes me feel so much better. It changes my mood. I'm ready to go, man. I am ready to go. It's great. I do miss the gym. I do miss the things that that give me this energy boost. But I managed to get one. I'll get a little workout in. Really, really nice. I hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the bum, because every time I work out, I need loads of wheeze afterwards. But normally when I work out, I drink loads. So I have almost been monitoring my fluid intake. You can see just there, I have like a container of like electrolyte drink and creatine. I think creatine like makes your body like water retention, helps with water retention. So fingers crossed, you know, that means that my body's going to hold on to it and not expel it. But I am also like really careful that normally I drink like 1.5 of those. I've drank half of one. So fingers crossed. Plenty of wee-wees, plenty of, you know, incontinence protection. And yeah, fingers crossed there's no more wee-wees. But it's ramping up. Today I'm starting earlier. More people are coming. There's like the town is just getting a little busier and busier and busier. It's Friday. It's Friday again. Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, really stoked. It's going to be another fun day. Dealing cards. Stoked. Yeah, ready. I'm ready for it today. I am ready for it today. I am feeling good. I am feeling pumped. Yeah. Did do a little wee-wee. I was just on the table quite a long time, and I was like, can't really help it, but I'm going to do, you know. But obviously I had the, you know, incontinence product in place, so it wasn't like that big a deal. But I always get nervous. I always feel like I'm weeing more than I am. I'm like, oh my god, I've just let it go. And I'm like, is it in place? You know, is it leaking? And then went to the toilet. I was like, just looked like a little squirt, to be honest. But you never know, you know, like, oh my god, like, how much am I weeing? Oh man, I absolutely had a right stinker on one of the tables. I was making so many mistakes. It was ridiculous. I could tell that some of the guys were getting a little bit impatient, and I was like, oh no. And then that put extra pressure on me, because I could tell one of the guys, especially if like you're losing hands, and then like I did a misdeal, and then this guy had a good hand, and then I had to re-deal, and he was like, oh, you know. So I was like, oh, sorry mate. I don't know where it came from. I honestly don't know where it came from. I was honestly, I was thinking about like needing a wee, and I was like, I really need a wee. And then I started making mistakes, and oh god. And then there's like tables that are like bigger than the other tables, and I can't reach the other side of the tables to like get the chips. And oh, it was just a little like tiny little things that were just confusing. And the guys, yeah, on the table, they were super lovely and patient, but you could tell that they were just a little bit like, oh, you know, this guy doesn't really know what he's doing that well. And I was like, yeah, I reek of inexperience. And then another thing that I've coined, a little term that I've coined, is wee-gasm, when you need a wee so much. Well, you can fill in the blanks. You go in the toilet and you're like, oh, I needed that wee. So yeah, definitely so grateful for the incontinence products. They're coming in very handy, but it's just a really unpleasant feeling, like needing a wee, and then like you can feel your bladder spasm, and you're like, fuck, like, you know, it was kind of like funny the first time, because I think when it happens, you don't know if it's like a lot, a little bit, you know, is it in the right place, is it going to leak, is it not going to leak, and it just distracts me from the game. You know, I'm supposed to be like highly concentrated throughout the game, and I'm like, you know, it's a fucking distraction, you know. I'm weeing right now. I know that you're like, you want the you need me to be on my game, but like, fucking hell, like, you know, yeah, it's the ultimate distraction. So risky business.
They say worrying doesn't take away tomorrow's troubles, it only takes away today's peace, which is great, but it's easier said than done. Hindsight's always 20/20. I didn't really have anything to worry about. Well, I say that, apart from that awful moment today. I was flying, and today I was thinking, you know what, I'm loving this job so much. What was I worried about? We always have like this fear of doing things that are unknown, which is very, very natural. And then after that event has occurred, you look back after you've done the thing that you were scared of, and you're like, oh, why was I so scared of that? You know, I didn't have anything to worry about, which is very common. But even though you know that, it's very hard not to fear it. And even the fear itself of doing this prompted me to, get more French lessons, like study up on the poker jargon and the poker lingo, and has pushed me out my comfort zone a lot, which I prepared for. I still don't think I prepared enough, or maybe I was prepared plenty, to be honest. Anyway, just random late night thoughts, but made me think earlier on, like, what was I worried about? Nothing to worry about, really. It's all good. Life's good. Oh, I'm exhausted. I'm going to try and decompress.
So I was writing in my journal this morning, and I wrote that because I'm in a new place, I'm getting stared at a lot. I think it's obviously just because of the wheelchair. Staring is caring, but it reminds me that I'm different. However, if my accident never happened, would I still be working where I used to work? And since my accident, I've had rich, novel experiences, growth and challenges, and I'm very grateful for all of it. Mentally stronger than most and loved by so many. I mean, that's a really nice thing to write, and it's just true. I'm really grateful. I'm grateful that I keep a journal. I'm grateful that I'm grateful every day for all these experiences. I'm grateful for my attitude. And again, mentally stronger than most and loved by so many. What more can you want? Yes, I may be the guy that wheels around, but you know what? There's worse things than being the wheelchair guy. And I'm really grateful for it. I had a wonderful experience. I think it was very rich. It gave me a full tapestry of emotions. I'm really glad for the bits where I was sad and tearful, sending soppy voice notes to my girlfriend. It made me miss home loads. It did make me question whether I want to do this job. Do I want to be in hotel rooms, eating casino food? I like my creature comforts. I like going to the gym. I like going for a swim. I like being at home here, being with my girlfriend. These things are good.
Man, I miss Chris so much. I miss Bonnie. I miss yummy home-cooked food. I miss the cuddles. I miss home, man. I feel like a bit of a loser saying it because I've only been away 5 days. But I was away last week as well, and I'm grateful for the experience, but I can't wait to get home. It's the last day today. I'm going to try and make the most of it. I've been asking myself if I want to do this job forever. Well, not forever. I definitely don't want to do this job forever, but do I want to do it again? And the answer is probably yes. I don't want to make a rash decision about like quitting while I'm in a highly emotionally charged state. A lot of them talk about all the different places they've been, and I'm like, wow, this is only an hour and a half down the road from me, but what if I have to fly to a different country or something like that? Like what if, there's a lot of new experiences to be had, and I didn't want to use any of these things as excuses, so today I went out and I had a banging little push, and it was raining as well. I pushed up and down the hill. Like I looked at my watch, it was like 25 minutes. You could see my heart rate going up and down. It wasn't raining that hard, but I was like, oh man, it feels good to be out in the rain. I was quite emotional. I was listening to a song, The Struggle Makes You Stronger. So it was like really motivating me. I was like, yeah, man, like I've got to focus progress over perfection. Like you can't just expect to be a veteran croupier. You've got to make mistakes. You've got to be brave enough to put yourself out there and trying to reframe things in a positive manner. And I realized that this overwhelm is part of the journey. It's not failure. It's a signal. It's a signal that, I'm outside my comfort zone and I'm growing. Keep going and keep growing. That's kind of what I'm trying to focus on.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I'm definitely going to do it again. And all the guys that I met there were really cool. They were really sound. I haven't had an experience where being English has been like a cool novelty for a while. Probably the last time that happened was when I was in America. It was like, oh, you're English. But everyone's like, oh, you're English. You're actually English. And I was like, yeah. And I didn't see many English people around here. I'm like, well, you haven't been to Morsey, mate. So that was quite nice, being like treated like a little bit special because I'm English. I was like, oh, that's quite nice. Just a really overwhelmingly positive experience in the rearview mirror. There was one point where I was really proud of myself because I was at the table and I was being a bit clumsy, and I remember my brain was like whirring up to give me some negative self-talk, and I was like, actually, mate, do you know what? If you were reading a book of your life and you got to this chapter, this would be a really interesting chapter, and guess what? You're in it right now, Enjoy it. How do you feel? Well, you might not feel like that every time you deal cards. Do you remember the first time you did a magic gig? How nervous you were and how well it went, Maybe these feelings are novel. Maybe it's excitement. Maybe it's not nervousness. Maybe it's bloody excitement. And I was really proud of myself for like having that inner talk and be like, hey, just chill out, man. You know, don't worry about it. It's all good. I'm a croupier. And also Winnebet, the guys that make this, this looks really gangster, by the way, I quite like it. They gave us a really nice care package at the end. Like, at the end, they came in like, oh, you know, sign your contracts, you know, sign off how many hours have you done. I get paid more than I thought. Bonus. Actually turns out to be a fairly well paid job. I thought it was like going to be minimum wage, but there's overtime. Won't bother going into that, but like, cha-ching. But they gave us like this Bluetooth speaker. It's really cool. It's got to be, I don't know, easily like maybe 150 quid's worth of speaker. It's really bassy, it's really noisy. It came in a really nice box. It's branded with Winamax, and yeah, they gave us a little dealer chip, and they gave us all sorts of goodies. And I just felt like, oh, that is a nice touch. You know what? That is a nice touch. You didn't have to do that at all, but that is a nice touch. Cheers, mate. So overall, really good. Had a lovely drive back today. Spoke with Benji for an hour on the way home. Spoke with my mate Mickey. I was having lovely phone calls with my close friends. It's been a fantastic day. I came home and did loads of stuff. Like, I thought I was going to be absolutely shattered, but I've got loads of stuff done on my to-do list. I'm even recording a bloody YouTube video. Talk about ticking boxes. Boom, boom, boom. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for listening and being part of my journey. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.